is the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans by the fans, with Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, and Jason Eidsmoe. We're talking Padres, Chargers, and Aztec sports.
Got to hit it to the right place. And he hits it out to center. Right center. Blackman's got a long way to go. He's still going.
Off the wall.
And it is off the wall. It takes a funny hop. Kemp is rounding second. He's heading to third. And Matt Kemp into third base with a triple and the first cycle in the history of the San Diego Padres.
He will hand it off. Tomlinson plows his way towards the goal line. LaDainian Tomlinson, one step closer to football immortality. Tomlinson has tied the single-season record. And the handoff to Tomlinson. Left side, and he will gallop into the end zone. Charger fans are witnesses to history.
Pope thought about it. Now steps up. And the freshman hits the jumper at the buzzer.
Well, this kid is some prospect. Big time length, big time game.
Pope straightaway three. Count it. Malik Pope. Pope off glass and good. On the other end, Joel doesn't miss that one. Shepard alley-oop to Pope. He got up there. Oh, wow.
It's time to let your voice be heard.
All right, it is Wednesday at 7 o'clock, of course. That means it's time for the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for the fans, by the fans. We are got an interesting show for you tonight. Usually we start off the show with Josh joining us. He's actually he's going through we'll just call it a family medical situation. He actually tweeted it out earlier, and I think when we bring him on next Wednesday, he'll have a chance to talk about that a little bit more. So Josh won't be with us. Jake is going to be unable to join us. So I'm going to run through, kind of what we're going to be doing today. Justin's going to be coming on. We're going to be talking Chargers. We're going to be talking Padres. And then, of course, we're going to bring Mikey on after that to be talking Aztecs. Aztecs are getting ready to sew up the Mountain West Conference Championship. I think they're guaranteed a tie right now. Of course, they're not going to lose the rest of their games. So I think it's pretty safe to say that they are going to take that title, which is kind of what we expected. Kind of get his thoughts on how they're playing right now. Interesting to talk to him about Malik Pope, of course, as always. That's somebody that we always bring up. Real quickly, some programming notes. I'm not sure how you're listening to us right now. You can find us on iTunes, on Spreaker, on Stitcher, on TuneIn Radio, and on iHeartRadio. All of those ways you can listen to us, but the way that we recommend is Spreaker. And the reason why we want you to listen on Spreaker, because Spreaker is the one place that you can listen to us live. All the other ones, if you're not able to catch us live, you can catch us on any of those other platforms. But Spreaker is the one that if you go to Spreaker.com, you look for the San Diego Sports Junkies at 7 o'clock every Wednesday, you'll be able to hear us live, and you'll be able to participate in the chat room. You can call in on the phone. Phone number is 619-866-4567. We'll take your phone call, let us know what you have to say. With that being said, after I told you to tune in on Wednesday, next Wednesday, March 2nd, we will have no program. We have some other things that are going on, and so we won't be doing a show next Wednesday the 2nd, but the following Wednesday, which will be the 9th, we'll be back live again, and we'll be talking a lot of Chargers. We'll have a lot of free agency stuff to talk about. Jake will be back. We'll be hitting Chargers really hard. So tonight what we're going to do is we do have some Charger stuff to talk about. I do want to get into some Padres. It's spring training time, and although football is always a popular subject no matter what time of the year it is, us as Padre fans, and not even just Padre fans, but baseball fans, are starting to get excited. The pitchers and catchers have reported. We're starting to hear some stuff out of spring training. And next Wednesday, as a matter of fact, is the Padres' first spring training game. So it is kind of an exciting time, no matter what the people say. I think that the Padres right now, depending on what you looked at, they're 125 to 1 or 150 to 1 or 100 to 1 odds to make it to the World Series. To us, for us, it's anything can happen. We look at our team, and just because people don't think that we have, that we don't have a chance. For us Padre fans, we're excited because we look at all the positives, we look at all the opportunities, and we still think that there's a chance, like most baseball fans do, like most fans of their teams. So what I'm going to do right now, one more reminder. We're going to be doing a live draft day podcast. We did a draft day podcast 2 years ago, and it was probably one of the most fun shows that we've had. So we are going to be doing a live podcast during the draft, and we are going to be joined by the guys from Bolt Talk Radio, the Bolt Talk podcast. That's Lauren Casuto and Ray Chan. So them and the San Diego Sports Junkies are going to get together. We're going to all be doing a live podcast. So we'll get you the details of that, whether it's going to be found on Spreaker or somewhere else. My guess is it'll probably be on Spreaker, but we'll let you know when we finalize the details. But it's fun, turn it on during the draft and listen to us, participate, call us, and participate in the chat room, because, like I said, a couple years ago we did one and it was so much fun. It's so much fun just to kind of sit back. It's a fun time for football fans, and we just had such a good time, and we thought that there'd be nothing better than to get together with another another podcast, another Chargers podcast. We're all one big happy family, anyways. So we're going to be taking a quick break right now. On the other side of the break, we're going to be bringing Justin in. Justin's going to be talking some Chargers. We're going to be talking some Padres. And then we're going to be bringing Mikey in 2 minutes. I'll be right back.
Help with your business project that is due? Maybe you need business cards to help your business stand out. We at San Diego Sports Junkies got you covered. SK Digital Imaging can do it all. Give our buddy Sean K a call, 858-408-0732. SK Digital Imaging, from business cards to the bigger projects, SK Digital Imaging and our buddy Sean K will get your printing done right.
River broke, the bloodwood and the desert oak, holding wrecks and boiling diesels, steaming 45 degrees. The time has come to save.
All right, we're back. I always get a lot of grief for the music I play, so I'm really trying to mix it up and play some different stuff. So we'll see what happens with that. We got Justin on the line, of course, getting ready to talk some Chargers and Padres. Darren's giving Mikey a hard time in the chat room, and I don't think Darren has anything against Mikey for some reason. And I got to ask Darren, why so much hate on the Aztecs? I don't know why he hates the Aztecs, the Aztecs basketball program. Any ideas what Darren's problem is with Aztecs basketball there, Justin?
I have no idea. I think he's bitter. I think he's bitter what happened to his Cubs last year, and I think all the Mikey crap talking that goes on. Maybe they need to squash this thing. Although, Darren's been known to be a tough guy. He's a UFC type of guy. So I don't want to see Mikey in a pretzel. I don't want to see him get submitted.
I think he just for some reason I think that I don't know what it is. He always seems like he's a little bit harder on the Aztecs basketball for some reason. I don't understand why. By the way, he's not a big fan of my Midnight Oil music. I know you can't hear the music on the phone there, Justin, but I played some Midnight Oil coming out of the break, and apparently he's giving that a thumbs down. So we'll start with Chargers before we move on to some Padres stuff. We've talked a lot in the past how I think we both kind of feel the same way about whether you should build your team through the draft or through free agency. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we're both kind of like, you need to draft the best players available, and after the draft, you need to fill in the holes with free agency. You're kind of on board with that too, right?
I would agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
And I totally agree with that, and I'm going to go against that a little bit right now because there's a couple guys that I'm interested in, and when we do, if they're still available when we do come back on the 9th and talk to Jake, I'd like to ask him about that. But the Browns center, Alex Mack, the rumor is he's going to be opting out of his contract, possibly to sign back with the Browns, but he's going to be a free agent. That's one guy that I would say forget about waiting for the draft and seeing who's available. If Alex Mack is available, the Chargers need to gobble him up. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I totally agree with you, Jay. These are just stories that come out. These are one of many stories that will be coming out by numerous sites and blogs and what have you about guys that are available. Alex Mack is a stud. I think he's gone to how many Pro Bowls in a row? I'm not sure, but guy's flat out stud. And in the article, I think I read that it said they wanted our second round pick in return. If that's all they want, I'll sign on the dotted line right now. You can have him because you're getting a legitimate bona fide stud to solidify that line. So yeah, I would do that too, Jake.
There's another guy that's available right now, James Ihedebo. I think I pronounced that right. I had to look it up on Wikipedia just to see the pronunciation. He's going to be available. The Detroit Lions are not going to bring him back. Now, he lost his starting job last year with the Lions, but I look at that, and especially with a safety, it just, a lot of it depends on scheme and whether or not you fit in or not. I would be interested to see if he would be a good fit in San Diego because that's another position that I'm not really keen on drafting. I would much rather pick up, a veteran out there through free agency. What are your thoughts on him, and do you have any other ideas for safety replacing Eric Weddle?
Well, I think you just hit it. I mean, we definitely have to replace Eric Weddle. I think Telesco has to go low risk, high reward type of guy in that spot. He's gonna have some cap room. We all know that. There's gonna be a few guys out there, but I say if you keep that second round pick, why not go after a stud free safety type of guy? A kid named Buchanan for Arizona. Came out a couple years ago. I really wanted him as Buchanan, I believe it was, but I really wanted him, and he's turned into like a Pro Bowler. So you can't predict the future, and there's not a lot of Rodney Harrisons just sitting out there. But you definitely need to fill that void that Weddle's leaving. I'm not sure what you do there, Jay. You're gonna have to spread that money out smart, and maybe build through the draft on that spot.
Okay, so you're a little bit more see what happens. You wouldn't mind drafting a safety. See, for some reason, for me, drafting safeties, I'm trying to remember the last time that the Chargers drafted, but besides Eric Weddle, because they drafted Eric Weddle was second round, I believe, if I remember correctly now.
Right.
Okay, so that we ended up being rewarded out of that because he had a really outstanding career. But I'm trying to remember the last time we drafted a high safety, and the only one I can remember is Stanley Richard, the sheriff, and he was he was not very good.
I can remember some safeties, Terrence Keels, the kid out of LSU that we're high on, Brandon Taylor.
Right.
Some other guys, too. It just didn't pan out,
hasn't worked
really.
Out.
No, not at all. And Eric Weddle's been the one guy that we've been able to count on, whether you have mixed opinions on him or not. He's been the guy that solidified that back of that secondary. So, yeah, it's tough to go through the draft, and I see what you're saying. I think you got to go maybe even at free agency, low risk, high reward type of guy. Maybe pay a guy $4 million for a season, just to come in and fill the spot, and then reward him with a long-term contract, something like that. Some guy, and just like you're saying, maybe the guy from Detroit can come in and fill a void. But they're going to really have to look into that spot, and we'll have to see what he does.
See, that's just somebody that I think that you could get for not too much money. Going through the safeties available, Eric Berry's available. I can't see the Chiefs not making a run at him at least to keep him. George Iuka from the Bengals is available. Reggie Nelson is available. There's a few safeties out there. So I'm just I would like to see them maybe sign themselves a veteran safety out there instead of worrying about a rookie to come in and produce, because I'll tell you what, and we talked about this a lot, we need some production out of our draft choices this year, and that worries me a little bit, counting on production from a safety in the draft.
Well, I'll tell you, if you're going after a safety in the draft, and he's not in the first round, then you're probably, looking at a crapshoot, and you're right. I think you need to bring a veteran in. I can jump on board with that. I think a veteran would probably be the better choice there. I mean, now that you say the kid Nelson from Green Bay, I like him. Eric Berry, of course, but I don't see the Chiefs letting him go unless it's a cap issue. I definitely try my luck with a veteran.
And here's somebody else that we've talked about a lot that's available in free agency that I think he wants to go back to the Bills, but Richie Incognito. He kind of had a bit of a comeback. He had a pretty solid season last year. He plays with a little bit of a nasty streak. Could you imagine Fluker and Incognito being your two guards? I don't think I'd have too much of a problem with that.
No, it's like bouncers at a nightclub. I think Phillip would be in good hands. That would make me pretty happy. I think he's trying to repair his reputation, and he had a really good year last year. So why not bring him in on a flyer? See what he thinks about San Diego. I would agree with that.
Yeah, I know it's really early still, so we got a lot of Chargers to talk about, and we're going to probably go position by position later on.
Right.
When there's more free agency news out there. But those are just a few ideas that I had, or a few things that I wouldn't mind seeing them kind of jump on, early. Jump on early. Darren thinks we're too late. We missed the boat on Incognito, and I agree that we missed the boat on him because
we definitely did.
There was a time when he was really down, and we could have got him for just about anything. And I do think that he feels like he owes a little bit to Buffalo for taking a chance on him. I have a feeling he's going to re-sign with them, but
right.
But if for some reason that doesn't work out, I'd love to see him come here to San Diego.
Yeah, me too. Why not? He's a solid guy.
So let's move on to some Padres stuff here.
Okay.
I've heard nothing but great stuff about Andy Green. I know that it's early. I know that they haven't even played a spring training game yet. I know that, but for some reason, Justin, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what Andy Green brings to this team this year. The attitude and the just the way the things that he brings. Now, maybe I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. Maybe it's way too early, but I'm really excited about that. What are your thoughts on Andy Green? Do you have any thoughts on him yet?
Yeah, I do. I'm in the same boat as you. I didn't think I'd be this stoked about a coach or a manager. And it's all preliminary. We don't know a damn. He's never even managed one game yet. But from what you hear, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid too. Dude. Don't worry, it's a big picture of Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
But it's, for me, reading today, and in reading some of these articles, and some of the player relationships he's already building and what they're saying about the guy, doesn't mean he's going to go out and win, 95 games this year and we're going to go to the World Series. I've never seen a culture, and this is the word he's using in spring training, from all his memos to the players, culture. And he's trying to build a culture of having, looking at yourself in the mirror and having a responsibility to play at your best. It's like he said in the press conference, he goes, the coaching staff can only do so much. They're either going to make us look really good. It's on the players to make themselves, as far as the team goes, better team on the field. So, I do like this guy. And apparently he gave some speech today that just made these guys kind of whimper. Like Skip Schumacher said, it was one of the most heartfelt, inspirational speeches he's ever heard, which is weird. Like, you don't hear stuff like that.
Right.
Andy Green stands about as tall as me, he's like 5'9". He looks like a dwarf compared to all these players out there, but he commands a room. And I can see how he got the job now in his job interview. He's very prepared. He's very articulate with what he wants to do with the team. There's a structure, and everybody has a place to be. They're working on fundamentals. There's a special field for just bunting this year. There's loud music playing through the speakers at spring training. There's a different culture going on with the Padres, and I kind of like it because we've been so accustomed to the Bud Black way and, happy-go-lucky Bud. And not to say he was terrible, but it just got old. It got bland, and I like this new revived energy that Andy Green has.
We got SoCal Trav in the chat room. He says Kool-Aid is bad for you, and you know what? You're right, and I'm still sucking it up. I'm sucking it up because, this is the time to kind of be looking forward to your team, and you see all
Right.
the promise and you see all the positivity, and I'm just excited. But you're right. We are drinking the Kool-Aid, and that's just that's what makes being a fan so much fun.
That's part of being a fan, Jay. That's it right there.
Now we have you look at the Padres starting rotation. We got Tyson Ross, who was announced he was going to start opening day. That was a pretty early announcement, but it kind of takes the pressure off everybody. We know who it's going to be. Followed by James Shields and Andrew Kashner, which we've always talked about. Andrew Kashner is he's such a roller coaster. He could be, we could have ourselves a really, really strong top three, or it all depends on Andrew Kashner. But past him, it's interesting for 4-5 because we could actually have still a really, really strong, rotation. We got Brandon Maurer, who pitched probably every single game last season, it seemed like, who's going to be moving into the starting rotation. And then we have Brandon Morrow, who pitched so awesome before his shoulder surgery. He signed a minor league deal. He's going to be battling for one of those last spots. We got Robbie Erlin, who I believe is one of the guys that you kind of have always liked, if I'm correct on that.
Lefty.
Carlos Villanueva and Drew Pomerantz. Pomerantz is one of the guys that we traded for in the offseason. And then somebody else who I haven't thought about since last year. Remember, Colin Ray came up and he actually pitched a few games. But those guys fighting for the last two spots in the rotation, I'm not really that worried about the rotation, to be honest with you. I think we're going to get 5 pretty good starters.
No, I agree with you. And, and my 2 picks that I would love to see in there would be Colin Ray, maybe as that 5th starter, and Brandon Morrow, just because I like what they bring. And I like Colin Ray. He added like 15 pounds of muscle in the offseason. Not that matters that much to anybody, casual fan, but that means he's, trying to improve, get a little weight behind his, his frame and pitch a little harder. So I like that. He's very intriguing, young pitcher. Another name to watch out for, Tim Lincecum was holding a workout here soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Padres signed a contract with Tim Lincecum. San Diego makes the perfect sense for a 1-year deal for Timmy Jams. He's NL West guy. He's familiar with the league. He's close to home where he resides in Frisco. It makes all the sense in the world to me that Tim Lincecum would sign with the Padres. The other teams, I don't think there's any other NL West teams in the bidding. I would love to see Tim Lincecum, if he's fully healthy, vie for that 5th spot. And then you pretty much solidify a decent rotation on your back end, and then you can throw a couple of those guys we just mentioned into the pen, and you can have some solid outings from them. What do you think about Tim Lincecum, Jay?
I would actually love to have Tim Lincecum in as our 4th or 5th starter. I think that just what you said there at the end, one thing that does is that gives you another solid pitcher in the pen. Now, pitchers don't always translate from starter to pen. But if any of these guys here that are fighting for the end of the rotation, guys have all worked out of the pen anyways. I wouldn't mind seeing Brandon Maurer back in the pen, to be honest with you. If we sign Tim Lincecum, maybe have Colin Ray and then Erlin and Villanueva and Pomerantz and all kind of battling for that spot for spots in the pen. Of course, Morrow, I'd love to see him come back healthy because he pitched really good for us too. It's really interesting. All that being said, with all those those other spots that are going to be possibly in the pen. Do you think that Fernando Rodney is guaranteed the closer's position? Do you think that he's going to be, do you think he's going to be handed the closing job, or do you think he's going to have to kind of earn it?
I think he's going to be handed to him, but Andy Green says nothing's handed to anybody on this team, which is I get that. That's just jab from him. So
yeah, I wanted to ask you. I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm happy you brought that up because he did say that. Do you believe that, or do you think that that's something that he's just saying?
No, I really do believe that. I mean, the only guy I really heard him say that was solidified, and he put the question to rest because a lot of people thought Matt Kemp would play left field this year. He told everybody he's a right fielder, and that's where he's playing. So he kind of shot that down, and that's the only spot I've heard where he's really made a guarantee of any spot. So I do like that. And even with Will Myers, not to get off base here, so he said he's going to be a first baseman, but he'll bring his outfield glove to give, Burrell Wallace a try at first to spot up for him a few times. So as far as the pitchers go, I think Fernando Rodney's got the closer spot locked down. He's your only legitimate closer that's done it, really on the roster. And then you bring in, I think for me, I'd love to see a Brandon Maurer as a setup man this year. I think Dale Thayer moved on. I think he's with the Orioles now. I'd like to see him kind of in that role. I don't know. It's going to be different. We're not accustomed as Padre fans to see this pin so shaken up. We usually had rocks that we've counted on the last few years that we knew was going to be a 7th, 8th, 9th guy. So a little different for Padre fans, but we're all changing. Changing's good, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm like I said the whole time. I'm a little bit worried about Fernando Rodney. Casey Jansen was brought up as a possibility that if Rodney falters, maybe.
Which I like that. That's a nice signing.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a low risk, high reward type of guy, and then why not bring him in?
I would feel much stronger if they hadn't signed. I know they signed Rodney because they wanted, for like a 1-year type thing, but Brandon Maurer, I wouldn't mind at all if they went to him to actually become the closer. I know last year I made this big prediction that Quackenbush would be the closer, and boy, did that blow up in my face. Of course, that was before they made the trade, but Quackenbush really didn't pitch that good last year anyways. But I'm going to do the same thing for Maurer. I wonder if Brandon Maurer is possibly, either going to start the season as the closer or end up becoming the closer somewhere throughout the season.
Yeah, no, I can see that too, Jay. It's and like I was saying, it's such a big shakeup. I'd love to see Maurer maybe in that 8th or 9th role. I think he can handle it, to be honest. And he's got a lot of ability. There's some guys that are, like the Drew Pomerances, and you got some guys, man. And that kid that we talked about, I think a couple of weeks ago, Huber, that threw that or that perfect game. He's also in the mix, got really good stuff. He's just looking for a team this year, so maybe he can have one of those bounce-back seasons. He was playing overseas. A lot of interesting candidates for the pen this year. I wouldn't be surprised to see some surprise cuts that you think might make the team. Just looking at the whole picture, because it is a new regime and it is a new coach. I think they're looking for guys that want to play. So this should be interesting, Jay. It should be a really unique season for the Padre fans.
Now, you talked about him a little bit ago, Will Myers being at first base. He's had wrist issues over the last 2 or 3 seasons. Last year, he really showed us what he could do when he's healthy. Unfortunately, he wasn't healthy most of the season. Do you worry a little bit with him moving to first base? He's going to get a whole lot more action in first base. Do you worry about him and his wrist at first, or do you just say, he's a baseball player, you got to just let him play, and you can't worry about stuff like that?
Yeah, you definitely just have to let him play. We can't control. I mean, first base, whether he plays the outfield or, first base, he's still going to be diving, head first for balls. And, it's baseball. And hopefully his wrist holds up all year. I'm more worried about him batting, with his wrist than I am fielding. The kid, he's our absolute key to the season. If he can stay healthy, I think John Jay is going to be your leadoff guy. I think they can put Will Myers in a healthy spot in the lineup where he could really do damage. So if he stays healthy, man, I really like this lineup a lot. If everybody, knock on wood, can stay relatively healthy, I think moving around the diamond, you look at all spots, they look pretty good. Everybody's pretty solid.
Now, we like to bounce around a lot on this show, so I'm not, we don't do a whole lot of prep. I don't have a whole bunch of questions listed in front of me, so I'm not taking these in any order at all.
Okay.
Andy Green, back to Andy Green. How important is it to you? We talk about all of us drinking the Kool-Aid and all of that stuff. Is he going to have to? Are they going to have to start strong with him for all of this belief and all of this excitement and all of us, so excited about Andy Green and the new attitude and stuff? Is he going to have to win early, or do you think that that's something that can carry us through a rough start if we have a rough start?
I think that's always the pressure. Padre baseball getting off to that hot start, which we never seem to do. I think last year they got off to that 10-5. I think we were.
Yeah.
And things were looking pretty good, and we're like, okay, we're gonna have a pretty good April. And things just kind of fizzled out, and they kind of broke even. Yeah, I do think they'll have to have a decent start, a winning start at least. In the month of April, they're going to have to come out with a winning record. I want to see them around second, third place, just to let Andy Green's message kind of be clear that I hope new beginnings mean new attitude with Padre baseball. So I would agree with that. I would hope that his message resonates for them to make sure they know they need to get off to a hot start, and they can. They've got, like you were just touching on, man, the top three starters. They've got decent hitters in the lineup. They play small ball baseball and play some defense. They could surprise a few people. Not saying they're going to the playoffs, but they could make a run at some of these teams and give them hell. So they have to get off to a decent start.
Now, I know it's still really early. Pitchers and catchers have reported, though, and I know the catching situation is something that you particularly pay close attention to because you're a big fan of Austin Hedges, but you were such a big fan when Norris was brought over, so I know you're paying close attention to that. Have you heard anything?
Yes.
Have you heard anything so far with these three guys? Who the front runners are right now, where we're at, or is it just too early for that right now?
Well, it's going to be interesting. They had the Padres beat writer Corey Brock on. I was listening to an interview with him, and they asked him the same question, and I think everybody's kind of scratching their head. But I think you would agree Austin Hedges' defense is his upside, and you got Derek Norris, which can hit for power and play pretty good defense himself. So problem is Bethencourt's out of options, and they're not going to send Derek Norris down. From what Corey Brock was explaining, they're only going to hold two pitchers on this team. So I'd expect Austin Hedges to be with the AAA club to start the year. Unfortunately, I'd like to see him in the big leagues, but I think it's going to be Bethencourt and Norris to start him off.
I agree with you, and I think that Austin Hedges is going to, if he was to start with the big league team, with the big league club, he would have to have an absolutely outstanding spring. I'm not talking about hitting 310,
right.
He'd have to be hitting like 440 or something crazy like that for them to say we can't send this guy back down. Anything else, 280 or whatever, which would be respectable for him, isn't going to be enough to start with the big club.
It's not a knock on him. We know that. It's just him trying to get more at bats. He knows his strong point is his defense. He's almost turning into like a Brad Ausmus type of catcher where defense is your strong point and you hit 225 or 230 and you're serviceable. That's not really what you want at your catcher spot, right? We all know that. But, guys have made a living doing that stuff. So, I feel for him. I hope that comes around. Maybe he's been working hard in the offseason. We'll see how it pans out. But for now, I think it's Norris and Bethencourt.
Yeah, and the sad thing is the fact that he's not even really at 225 or 230 as a hitter right now. He's still at about 190, so he has to improve just to get to being a bad hitter, because he's beyond that right
exactly.
now.
A big step up.
Yeah. So that's going to be a real interesting, a real interesting battle to look at because the catching, I agree. I think they're only going to carry two catchers. I hope they only carry two catchers. There's no need to carry a third catcher. There's none but the catchers are not good enough where we need three of them. You know what I mean? It's not like
exactly.
I would much rather have a better bat coming off the bench than.
Well, and I think you're right about that. I mean, I think Andy Green's a traditionalist in a baseball sense, and most, I'd say 99% of the teams carry two catchers. So you always keep a young catcher down in AAA just in case somebody gets dinged up. So I would agree with that. I think Andy Green, I think that's kind of his philosophy. He's kind of an old school, new school guy. From what I'm judging, I don't know that yet. We haven't really watched him, but the way he talks sounds like he's going to play a little small ball, have these guys play good defense, put some bunts down, get runners over, which I kind of like because we're not a team that's going to go up there and jack home runs all day. So
Yeah, Darren's in the chat room, and he mentioned he didn't hit that well in winter ball either, and that's much lower competition out there. So
Right.
I think he carries. I'm nervous, to be honest with you, and I haven't hit that. I love to see what he does behind the plate, but when he's got that bat in his hand, he just has. He's still young, and I'm not saying he can't, but he hasn't shown me yet that he is able to be a major league hitting catcher. And even the defensive, the quote unquote defensive catchers can give you 225 or 230, and he hasn't shown me he can get that. So that worries me. I hope he's able to all of a sudden figure that hitting out, because if he can, he certainly, if he could ever, hit for a decent average, he has all-star potential, because he is really, really good defensively.
Yeah, good kudos for Darren. I was going to actually look that up because I just realized he played winter ball this year in one of the interviews he had recently, and I was going to actually go back and see what he did. I was hoping he'd at least hit 240, 230 in winter ball. So if he didn't even do good there, and he struggles in spring, I kind of feel bad for him. But that's what AAA's for. Work on the things you need to work on. There's been a lot of guys that have been sent down. There's a lot of history of guys being sent down, working on their craft and coming back up and being a good player. So I would feel better with Bethencourt and Norris to start the year.
Sticking with the catchers talk here. Derek Norris got a little bit of time at first base last year, to rest him a little bit. I remember he was playing so much, and they wanted to keep his bat in the lineup, and they put him at first base a little bit. I know that Will Myers is our first baseman now, but he's going to be, he's not going to play every day. Have you heard if Andy Green plans on giving Norris a little bit of time at first base, or is that just a one-year thing, and they're not going to be revisiting that? Do you know?
One thing I was absolutely interested in, and he said absolutely not. That's not what he plays. He doesn't want to play it, and then he pretty much kind of knocked the managing crew last year for even doing it. So just the way he said it, we want guys to know where they're going to be playing. Just like Will Myers is told this year, you're a first baseman, but bring your outfielding glove every 10th day. You might play left field. Right. Which we're all comfortable with, because I think we all can agree Will Myers is a great outfielder.
Right.
But I think Will Myers can turn into a really good first baseman too. He's got all the attributes. So, I think he's solidifying positions one by one. I don't think you're going to see a lot of guys rotating, just as he said, like Kemp. You're a right fielder. We're not taking him out. I think they like Matt's arm in right field more than anything. He might be a little slower. Projected probably last in all, instances and statistics, but, Matt Kemp brings that arm in right field, and I don't think they can lose that.
Yeah, we're so used to seeing guys kind of play a bunch of different positions. We've had, Alexi Amarisa's played just about every position on the team. We've talked a lot about guys playing different positions, but I kind of like this new attitude of, this is your position, this is what you're going to play, and I kind of like that. Maybe it'll give these guys a chance to just become really, really good at that one position instead of worrying about playing a bunch of different positions.
Yeah, there's just this it's a weird feeling. You hear about all the stuff that's going on. How they're announcing the starter, how they're announcing, guys are, Will Myers going to be at first. Matt Kemp's a right fielder. It's a cool thing to hear, them being content with certain things. Years past, it's like, I don't know if this guy's going to play here. I don't know if this guy's going to do this. Where's Solarte going to play? And it was just a conundrum of crap. From up and down the docket, you see a bunch of consistency already, and it's only like day 4 or 5 of camp. Even to the point where they've strategically put younger players like Jabari Blash, this kid that we talk about next to Kemp and John Jay, guys like that. They're doing it on purpose so these guys can help one another, and the veterans. It's cool. It's just a cool thing. I don't know if they put that much thought into it over the last 7-8 years. It's nice to see.
That is awesome. Now, before I let you go, with all this excitement for spring training, are you going to get out to Arizona and visit the Padres for spring training this season, you think?
I'd like to. I've been in contact with Josh. It's on my bucket list this year. I'd love to do that, and I just haven't made a decision or gotten the time off yet. So that's the next step. I'd love to get out there.
For those of us in the real world, we can't just decide, let's go do this. We got a budget. We got to get time off from work. It's a long ordeal. So yeah,
I have a child now that I take care of.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's like
a 4-legged child.
Yeah, it's really like taking over our lives. It's actually really crazy, but we love her, so it's cool. But it just, as a puppy and all that, it takes time away. You got to do certain things, get home. We don't have a babysitter for our dog, so
isn't that funny?
You know how it goes, man.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't know how it goes with a dog, but I do know how it goes with a kid. All right, just a reminder. Remember, next Wednesday we are off. We'll be back on the 9th. Great talking Chargers and Padres with you, man. I look forward to talking to you again on the 9th.
Yes, sir, and I can't wait for that draft show too, dude. That'll be something to listen to, and just the excitement of the draft will be great.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it too. We had so much fun doing it the last time. I think with guys from another show, it's going to be great. So, looking forward to that, man. You enjoy the rest of the Aztecs game, man.
All right, buddy. Keep in touch with yourself, huh?
You know I will, man.
Later, bro.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, that was Justin Smeed, calling in, helping out here, talking some Chargers, mostly Padres. We're kind of saving the Chargers stuff for when Jake gets back. There'll be a lot more action, a lot more stuff to talk about. I'm going to take a quick break. Mike Maciejewski is going to be calling in. We're going to be talking some Aztecs. I know they're playing right now. He'll be giving us an update on the score. I think they're up by 2 is the last time I checked. He's going to be talking about where they're at with the Mountain West Conference and their chances to get into the tournament and how far they can go. We're going to be back in just a minute. On the other side here, we're going to be talking Mike Maciejewski.
Cali Comfort Barbecue in Spring Valley was built for West Coast Sunday morning football and fight night. Cali Comfort Barbecue has quickly become San Diego's slow smoke barbecue sports entertainment destination. Full service catering available for all your tailgating needs. CaliComfortSD.com.
Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now, you should have somehow realized.
All right, we are back. We got Mike Maciejewski taking some time out from watching the Aztecs game. Join us to talk some Aztec basketball, some Aztecs recruiting. What's up, Mikey?
Man, how's it going today?
Great. What's the last time I checked, the Aztecs were up by 2. What's the score right now?
I believe it's 30-24. It's on a commercial break. Let me double check this real quick. I think it's 30-24. 30-24.
Nice.
Yeah, Aztecs are up. So Wyoming Shins and Free Throws coming out the commercial break. Aztecs are up right now.
Well, it's kind of funny. The beginning of the season, my concern a little bit was the defense, and of course the Aztecs defense started playing much better. Then I've been talking about my concerns about Malik Pope, and of course Malik Pope jumps out. He keeps looking better and better, and against San Jose State, he comes out, shoots 7 of 11, gets 11 rebounds, scores 17 points, 29 minutes, played the most minutes of anybody on the team. I complained to you that I'm worried that the Aztecs aren't really blowing anybody out. They're winning a bunch of close games. Of course, then they beat San Jose State 56-78. So tell me what you want me to complain about next.
Why don't you complain about how we haven't won a national title? I mean, that'd be great.
Darren just brought up a point. Last time I brought you on, I had Eddie Money on, and I didn't do that this time. And maybe he's starting to associate you with Eddie Money. So maybe I got to bring you on with Eddie Money, just because I can't. I don't have your Welcome to the Jungle song on my computer, so I can't.
Right.
But so Aztecs right now are guaranteed a tie for the Mountain West Conference. Is that where they're at right now?
That's correct. They're guaranteed at least a share of the Mountain West title.
And the only way that even happens is if they lose the rest of their games, which everybody knows is not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they have to go 0-4, and then Fresno State has to go 4-0. So, it's unlikely.
So, thoughts on how they're starting to kind of wrap things up and enter into the tournament? Most predictions, I see them ranked like around 11th or 12th in the in their bracket. Does that worry you a little bit? They're going to be playing like a 5 seed or a 6 seed?
Well, perennially, the upset seed has always been the 5 seed. So, usually 12s end up beating 5s most of the time. So that would be nice to finally be the upset team. But no, I'm not concerned. I mean, I think San Diego State's going to be one of those teams that came on late and will be a tough matchup for everybody. And it'll be one of those teams that whoever is ranked higher than them will be sweating that they have to play against, if they make the tournament.
Now, we all think that, for them to do good in the tournament or for them to get far or to get to the Grade 8 or the Final Four, Malik Pope, he's going to have to step up and really start to show everybody what he can do consistently. Do you have anybody else on the team that you look at and say, this guy, we just need something more, something special out of this guy in order for us to do anything in this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Winston Shepard's going to have to play really well. You're going to need him to play like he played the last 2 games. I mentioned in an article, at least an article from Mountain West Connection, that he's, over the last 2 games, he's averaging, I think it was 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists a game. So, 6.5 assists a game. So if you can get that kind of output from Winston Shepard, then you're likely going to be, contending for advancement in the rounds and contending for a, Elite 8 Final Four. If you can keep doing that, as well as getting the usual suspects, Trey Kell, Jeremy Hensley playing well, and adding in Malik Pope, and you have, some good opportunity here for some scoring.
I'm still a little bit concerned. I'm gonna combine these 2 guys into one, and that's Matt Shrigley and Ben Perez. Still worried about the 2 of those guys. Haven't really contributed like we expected. Ben Perez at the beginning of the year, he kind of came from, I think he was a walk-on. He was playing really well, but down the stretch, he's kind of disappeared. Matt Shrigley still hasn't really found his shot. That concerns me a little bit because he's somebody that we kind of expected some stuff out of. Does that concern you at all?
No, I mean, if you were expecting Matt Shrigley to be your leading scorer, then obviously there's a problem. It's kind of like what I mentioned earlier with Dakari Allen. We had heard great things about Dakari Allen, but if you expect him to lead you offensively, then this team is really in trouble because he's not built for that this year. He went from a guy averaging 3 points to, if you're expecting a guy that went from 3 to now become your leading scorer, then obviously you haven't had guys develop the way you expect them to. Kind of the same with, what's it called? Matt Shrigley. Matt Shrigley has been a good player, but it doesn't look like he's going to step right into that, first, second, or third scoring option at this time. So, that's not my concern. I mean, right now he has 5 points. If you can get him to scoring 7 to 10 points a game, that's amazing. If you get him on the higher end of that 10, but him throwing in 7 points and getting some stretching the defense, that's what you're really looking from Shrigley.
Now, there's somebody that we talked about a little bit, or you guys talked about a little bit before the season started. Darrell Williams, he hasn't really done anything this year. He's been real quiet this year. Is that kind of surprising? Were you expecting more out of him, or is it just the fact that there's already so many other people that are contributing, there's just no room for him?
I really was expecting a lot more. I see him, and he's a great defender, and I feel like, kind of like Dakari Allen, he just lacks the confidence. Because, last game, there was such a blowout, he went in there for a long period of time, and, his only basket, he took it to the hoop among 2 to 3 big guys, and he just one-handed, laid it up, over some big players, and you see those kind of plays, and those are big-time plays regardless of who you're playing against, especially when you're a smaller guy. But, I mean, there's obviously something going on. But, I mean, obviously, like we mentioned before, it feels like he passes out his shot too often. And, that's obviously you can't have that when you're playing at this level. You need confidence from your guys.
Now, assuming that the Aztecs are going to win tonight, and of course we're assuming that, that leaves 3 games to go before the Mountain West tournament. What do the Aztecs do? Do they keep the pedal to the metal and just keep trying to win those games? Do we start resting guys? Do we start trying to get other guys in there? What do you think they will do, and what do you think that they should do?
I think they will and should keep these guys in. I mean, you're playing for an at-large berth. What everybody keeps saying is right now they're not in there, and I understand that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not joking myself that they're in the field right now. But the one thing is teams are losing every single week, and you have to keep winning. That's the name of the game. Just keep winning and let everything fall as they may. I mean, eventually when they play themselves into that. Again, we've talked on this show many times that the name San Diego State now means something. It means a little bit more than it used to. And like I mentioned before, in previous cases, they've been quote-unquote overseeded, where they got a seat higher than was expected because they're San Diego State. Right. And I think the committee will realize that San Diego State's playing really well, that they went, if they go 17-1 or in the league, they went 17-1 in the league, which is ridiculous in any league.
Right.
And that they deserve to be in there. So you just have to keep winning. You can't take your foot off the pedal, especially when you have big games. You have the game against Boise State here at the House coming up, which is the highest RPI team in the league. New Mexico's down, but you're playing away, so that's going to get you some more points. And you're also playing against UNLV, I believe, at UNLV. So,
right.
That's huge. So
they also kind of wasted their opportunity to coast at the end when they lost those games at the beginning of the season. That we can argue whether or not those teams are better than we thought they were, but the bottom line is the Aztecs are better than those teams. The Aztecs should have won those games. Losing those games, I think, kind of lost them the ability to cruise down at the end. I think they got to buckle up and buckle down, and I think they got to keep playing these games to win, and not worry about getting other guys playing time or resting guys. I think they got to just go for the win because you're right. They might not be an at-large team right now, but other teams are losing constantly. If they keep winning, they could move right into that, and that's kind of what you want. You want the most opportunity to get into that tournament.
Yeah, and I mean, again, the Mountain West is not as great. Obviously, you've seen it. But if you know the league, you know that, in league play, records don't really matter as much as on non-conference games. Right now, just a heads up, it's 41-33 at halftime. Aztecs are leading. So I just wanted to update you on that.
Starting to pull away a little bit. They were against San Jose State. They were only leading by 4 at the half, and the second half they came out and they just tore them up. They almost outscored them 2-1 in the second half.
Right.
I'd love to see 2 games in a row where they just come out at the halftime and they really, really turn it on and make it a no-doubt game.
Yeah, Justin and I have talked about this many times. I feel San Jose State is the second half team because they have so much depth. They're able to wear people down and then use their athleticism in the second half. I mean, right now, Xylem Cheatham's not playing much. You're not seeing much of Angelo Cho. You're not seeing much of Jakari Allen because of foul trouble. All these guys are capable, not much of Matt Shrigley. All these guys are capable players. No one's really, we're not sitting here worried that when those guys are going in, that there's going to be a big drop-off. So, yeah, the depth is really helping San Diego State this year because they are wearing teams down early on. I mean, you have players like Josh Adams from Wyoming. You have Marvell Harris's. These guys who are just, playing 40 minutes a game, and you can't have that. You got to have guys sitting out, especially against San Diego State, because they will press you and they will tire you out.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages that they have is they play the press so good, and if they have success at that early and they keep it up, the other teams they get tired. They ever having to work the ball up the floor every single time. it really, really wears on a team, and it gives us a chance to win that game at the end. You had mentioned Zylan Cheatham. He's one guy that I think has maybe, man, I don't want to be, overly critical, but he seems like he's not playing as good recently as he did at the beginning of the season. He's a guy that I really think needs to step up and kind of get that game back, and maybe not carry the team, but maybe carry them down a few stretches of some games in order to do something in the tournament. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, you're starting to see the second half of the freshman year, kind of like you saw with Trey Kell last year. She did really well, started off out of the gates really great, but then he kind of like fell back. Same with Cheatham, but again, also Cheatham's kind of drop back has kind of coincided with Malik Pope's rise. Essentially they play almost the same position. They don't. Once next year when Shepard's gone, I think you'll see Pope playing more of that small forward role going into next season.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Mikey, I'm going to let you go. We're not going to be on next Wednesday, so we'll have lots of Aztecs to talk about the following Wednesday. Any recruiting news you wanna leave us with? Any exciting stuff happening?
Just a quick update. Recently, Mark Ziegler came out the article. I think yesterday actually came out this morning's paper about Cabell Bigby Williams, or Williams Bigby, 6'10" center playing in junior college in Wyoming, actually, in a small town in Wyoming. I think it's Gillette, Wyoming, or Gillette College. He's a big name to watch. What I'm hearing is that I've heard from several people at the Aztecs are trying to get him in for an official visit or a visit of some kind. He seems to be a little bit more ready, from what I'm hearing, than Leonard Allen Jr. Because Leonard Allen Jr. is very thin, and I don't know if you read the article, Jason, mentions how he was out of basketball for a while, kind of fell out of love with the game. So, he might be more of a project, but that's just, a player to watch. If I hear anything more on him, I'll let you know. Again, it's tough with junior college players because once they get offered, they usually accept it pretty quick. Cabell Bigby was a one-time Montana State commit, but didn't qualify academically. He's from London, England. So, to watch there.
What's your thoughts overall, junior college? I know in football, getting a junior college transfer is pretty big deal because you've got a guy who's got a couple years experience and can come over and contribute. Basketball-wise, do you get excited over junior college transfers as much, or are they kind of hit and miss?
They're kind of hit and miss. I mean, usually these are guys that either one were not at that level, at when they came out of high school, or two, which is the gems that you rarely find are that they didn't qualify academically.
Academic problems, right?
Yeah, but most of those big-time guys now, they go to a prep school for a year instead of having to go to junior college, because to go to JC, you must get your AA before you can transfer if you were academically ineligible out of high school.
Wow.
So those big-time players that want to jump in right away, they usually go to prep school for a year and get their grades right and then graduate, within another year. I don't get super excited, but I mean, our last guy that came out, junior college was Deshaun Stevens. And I mean, he's turned into a fantastic basketball player. Most of it, was post-Aztec, post-college. But I mean, at his senior year, he was a real big piece. And then in those games where he just dominated and showed that athleticism that we covet so much. So, and that's also, you'll find those kind of guys, more athletic guys that aren't strong enough yet.
Right.
Need a little bit more time, and that's what we thrive on. I mean, you don't need to be a big banger in our system. If you're tall and can run the floor,
and can play D,
Coach Fisher has a spot for you on the field. Yeah, you can play D.
Yep.
And this guy, and I was looking at his last game, I think he has triple-double, I want to say in the 20s, 16, and 12 blocks or something like that. It was crazy.
Wow.
But again, you never have a competition. I mean, I saw Leonard Allen beat up on a team, guys that are 6'5" and less.
Yeah.
So you never really know how the games go. But I mean, obviously the coaching staff is doing their due diligence, and I mentioned last week I was going to go see Leonard Allen play, but he suffered a sprained ankle and hasn't played the last 2 games. So I got to the gym without knowing this because the update didn't come out later. And so I mean, basically it was 5 minutes from my house, and I just hung out there and enjoyed a good first half. But it was fine.
Awesome. We got Mike Maciejewski here, of course. He comes on each and every week with us to talk Aztecs football, basketball, recruiting. I know you tweet a lot about the Aztecs women's basketball team and the Gulls as well. Go ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, your website, and your Twitter, and all that good stuff.
Thank you. AztecHoopsNation.com. You can find there any recruiting news you're looking for, and find me at Twitter on at Mikey_AHN. Really quick, Jason, I didn't listen to the show because I was obviously watching the game. Did you talk Stadium earlier today?
We did not. We haven't even brought Stadium up once.
That's good for you guys.
Yeah.
Good for you guys.
No, we just talked. We talked a little bit of free agency and SoCal Travis sitting on deck in the chat room waiting to talk some more Chargers. So I have a feeling that he might be bringing up Stadium. So we might be getting to it after all. But I am going to let you go.
He might. Yeah.
He might want to talk about Dean Spanos, too. I think he's a big fan. We're going to find out.
I heard he likes Fabiani.
Yes.
I think he sent Fabiani a Valentine's Day card. 14th.
Gave it to him in person because they were hanging out at the Volkswagen dealership.
Yeah, good buds right there.
Awesome. All right, man. I'm going to let you go. We'll talk to you again, not next week, but the week after. Go Aztecs, my friend.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jason. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, man.
All right, bye.
So that's Mike Maciejewski calling from Aztecs Hoop Nation. Check out his website, aztecshoopnation.com. Follow him on Twitter, Mikey_AHN. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to steer it back. We're going to have a shorter show today, but I'm going to steer it back to some Charger talk. I know Trav is in the chat room, ready to talk some Chargers. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to come back on the other side to finish up with the Chargers.
Do you need help with your business project that is due? Maybe you need business cards to help your business stand out. We at San Diego Sports Junkies got you covered. SK Digital Imaging can do it all. Give our buddy Sean K a call, 858-408-0732. SK Digital Imaging, from business cards to the bigger projects, SK Digital Imaging and our buddy Sean K will get your printing done right.
All right, we are back. We're going to finish off today back with the most popular subject of our show, and of course that's the Chargers. We talked some free agents opportunities earlier in the show, and Justin came on and talked about maybe some draft ideas he had, and we're going to get into a lot more of that later on, as we get deeper into the off season. One thing that we haven't really talked about is Stadium. I'm not sure if that's where he wants to go or not, but I got SoCal Trav on the phone. Trav, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? How I should say, is it what's up, guy, or what's up, guys tonight?
It's just Guy tonight. We had Justin. Justin's been going remotely. He's got a new puppy dog, so he has a hard time getting out. And then Jake was not able to come on tonight, so it's just going to be you and me right now. And
nice.
I see that you still have your Dean Spano sucks picture up there in the chat room, and I'm curious if you've backed off from that a little bit so far, because as upset as everybody was with him, after that vote did not go his way, which we all understand, he seems to, and maybe it's because he's out of options, maybe it's a little bit of the tail between the legs, but he does seem to legitimately be trying to work something out in San Diego. Do you agree with that?
Well, I still hate him because now he's trying to weasel his way to downtown, which, whatever. But that will stay up on my profile until they officially reach an agreement and they are officially staying in San Diego, because I actually do not trust the guy. I think he's a cheese ball, and he's a slime, and he's a weasel, and he'll do anything he can. Now what I think he's going to do is, because we all know now, with it wanting to be downtown, it has to be passed by 2/3 of the voters. And before, it was just 50% plus one. Now it's 2/3. How are they going to get 66% of the people to vote yes for a downtown stadium?
Yeah, if that's the case, it's going to be tough. It's tough to get 66% of people to vote for anything. It really, really is.
It is. No matter what it is, it's tough.
So if that, I hadn't, although I don't know, I know you've been away for a little while. I don't really listen to the talk radio too much during the week, so I didn't know about that 66%. And if that's the case, boy, that's going to be tough. Now, whether the stadium's downtown or at Qualcomm, to me, I honestly don't care. I would just rather they build one, and whatever ends up working out is fine with me. Do you personally have a preference? Not counting the vote, because we all know how much of a hurdle that is. But do you have a preference over downtown or Mission Valley?
I don't care where they build it. They can build it freaking in El Cajon for all I care. Just keep it in San Diego. And I know a lot of people are pissed off now because...
Uh-oh, we lost you. We lost you, Trav. We'll try and get Travis back. One of the things that I'm curious about, and maybe if Trav comes back, we can ask him and see what he thinks. But if that truly is the case, that they need 66% of the vote, I mean, you could come. I'm not saying this myself, but you could have a conspiracy. The conspiracy theorists actually say, well, that's just Dean trying to set everything up to fail, so he could say, well, I did everything I could to build a stadium in San Diego, but the people didn't want it because the people didn't vote for it. So that's kind of interesting. Kind of he could win either way, because he can say that, and then if the vote actually does go through, he'll get exactly what he wants. He'll get a stadium downtown where they can develop the area, and he has the opportunity to make more money, which is what all these owners want. But that's interesting. I sure hope that's not the case, and I'm going to try to bring Trav back on here. Trav, are you there?
Yeah, that was weird,
man.
Yeah,
lost you for a second.
I'm sitting there talking and telling you what I think, and I looked down, I'm like, wait a minute, I thought you went on the line.
You were gone. Yeah, all of a sudden you were gone. One of the things that I said after you went away was, there's going to be conspiracy theorists out there, and I'm wondering if they're looking at this going, well, this is Dean's way of if he's forcing the downtown vote, he can win either way, because if the vote goes through, then he's going to get exactly what he wants, and that's a stadium downtown with the opportunity to develop and make a lot of money. And if the vote does not go through, he goes to L.A. and he can say, hey, man, I tried. They're the ones who didn't vote, so it kind of gets him off the hook.
That's his whole plan. That's his whole plan, and that's why I said he's a weasel. That's his whole plan. He knows that the hotelers and the citizens are not going to pass this thing. And the hotelers are going to fight it because they don't want the tax to be increased, because San Diego is actually the lowest. If you look at L.A., New York, San Francisco, Chicago, out of all those cities, San Diego is the lowest for hotel tax. So, that'll be his excuse if it doesn't pass. Oh, off to L.A., people didn't want it. So
yeah. That's interesting. It does kind of give him a chance to being out, because he was really, really made into a villain. And like I said, after that vote didn't go through, he's kind of started to redeem himself a little bit. But this is his opportunity to kind of walk away with this without being too dirty looking. Of course, except in your eyes, because you're not going to fall for it.
No, I won't fall for it, because I think I think it's been his plan this whole time. So I know people. I don't know where I left off when I got disconnected, but I know a lot of people are pissed off about downtown versus Mission Valley, because we won't be able to tailgate and this and that. But I recommend people look at what they did at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, because they built individual parking lots throughout the area. So there's not one big giant parking lot. There are individual parking lots throughout the area around the stadium. And you can tailgate within those parking lots. So that's probably what they'll have to do, the same kind of concept in downtown, because you put the stadium there where the bus terminal is, then there's really not a place to put a parking lot. Right. So they can scatter parking zones throughout downtown, and you can tailgate. So technically you're still going to do it. So these people that are all mad and I'm not going to vote for it because it's not going to be in Mission Valley, ask yourself, is tailgating more important? Or is having the Chargers stay in San Diego more important? That's the big question.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If your vote is if you have to vote yes or no to downtown, voting no is not a vote yes for tailgating, because you can't tailgate if the team's not in town. So people do need to remember that. Getting off the stadium talk, one thing that Justin and I were talking about earlier today, I'd be interested to hear what you thought is. A lot of people have, my personal opinion is I would much rather the Chargers draft best players available, and then after the draft, fill in those empty spots that are left through free agency. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that they should act early in free agency, or do you think that they should draft first and then kind of get aggressive with that, or what's your thoughts? And speaking of free agency, are there any people that you have your eye on?
Yeah, I agree with you on the drafting part, because we need to get young. I mean, they keep signing veterans that are old. I love Spinaroonie and all, but you remember, last year he had a phenomenal year in Arizona, but those types of guys aren't getting any younger, and you may be able to get a year out of those guys. We need to find guys that could be here for the next 5-6 years, that could develop with this franchise, develop with this offense or defensive scheme, so they can be one big unit to be reckoned with. So I like the idea of drafting top players and then filling the void with who we can't get in the draft, because we're not going to get everybody through a draft.
Oh, right.
But we need help on both sides of the ball. Obviously, we need help on the offensive line desperately. We also need help on the defensive side desperately. But I would love to see them grab Laramie Tunsil from Ole Miss for offensive tackle, but I don't think he's going to be there at number 3. I honestly think Tennessee will probably snag him at number 1. So really the next best bet is to take DeForest Buckner, which I really like him. I think he's a badass, and I've gotten to see him play in the Pac-12 because obviously I'm a huge USC fan.
Right.
So I think he'd be really good for the the defensive and defensive tackle position. And from there, they just got to figure out what they want. And everybody's all up in Joey Bosa's ass. But the thing is, though, is that he's got some off-field issues going on right now that are slowly creeping up on him, and I think he's going to slide in the draft. I think he'll slide he may slide out of the top 10 with what's going on, because teams obviously don't want to deal with that anymore. Look at the Browns with Manziel. Teams are like, you know what, you're going to mess around, you're out of here. And they're not going to risk drafting somebody who's got off-field issues before they're even in the NFL.
Right. I agree. People are looking at that stuff really closely, because that's such a you're committing so much money to these guys, and it is a concern. And of course, we always go back to it, but the Chargers got burned real bad when they drafted Ryan Leaf. That set the team back quite a bit. So
that Ryan Leaf's poison. Ugh.
Yeah. Speaking of the draft versus free agency, preferring to draft first and go free agents to fill in the gaps. There's a couple positions that the Chargers need desperately to fill that I do not want them to try to get through the draft. And the reason why, I don't mind them drafting these positions for the future, but we need to draft in our high, our first 3 or 4 rounds. We need to get guys that are going to be contributing this season. And
right.
And instead of drafting a center, I think that they need to go out and pick one up in the off season. They need to bring one over. Of course, everybody's talking about Alex Mack is going to be opting out of his contract in Cleveland. I'm not sure if he's going to end up re-signing back there, but if he becomes available, I think the Chargers need to do everything that they can to get Alex Mack, because we need to sign ourselves a center. We need to stop picking up undrafted free agents and trying to make them become our center. We need to get ourselves a stud center, and Alex Mack is one of the guys that I have my eyes on. What are your thoughts on the center position?
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. I have him on my list of possibilities, and I agree with you. I think you need a veteran to be at center. You need a guy, because the center is really the whole. He runs the offensive line if you really think about it. Mm-hmm. So you need to have a solid veteran, the center position, to really help these guys that they're drafting, really kind of build that morale and camaraderie between amongst the guys up front. So I agree with you. I think they should go out and sign a veteran center, and then they can fill in the voids around them. Like, if they got if they could draft Laramie Tunsil or whatever they got to do. But I agree with that. I think they need to get a vet center, and I think they also need to get a vet free safety. I think to fill Weddle's spot, I think they probably should go get at a veteran on the field. If Barry's available, I mean, if they can find a way to snag him from Kansas City, by God, do it. That guy's badass. So
I'm going to tell you what, I'm really, really scared now, because that was the other position that I was going to say, and that was safety. I think that we need to get ourselves a safety through free agency, and the fact that I'm starting to think a little bit like SoCal Trav scares the shit out of me. Now,
good thing.
There's another safety that looks like he's not coming back. We talked about him earlier. The Lions released him. He had lost his starting position with the Lions, or they're not going to bring him back, and that's James Ihedebo. I have a hard time pronouncing his name. I hope I got it right. I know that he had lost his starting position with the Lions. That doesn't really mean a whole lot, because especially with safety, you got to kind of fit the right scheme for the right team.
Right.
I don't know how much you know about him. I would kind of like to see the Chargers take a look at him, and when we come back on with Jake, he's one of the guys I'm going to ask him about, to see if he thinks he's a good fit, because I think we could get him for a pretty decent price if he could come in and play, do what they need our safety to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think the safety and the center are two positions they got to fill with a veteran, or at least somebody who's got some experience on the field, and because those guys can tool other guys. I mean, they can get another quarterback in the draft. They can get a defensive end, offensive tackle in the draft. They get a wide receiver in the draft if they really wanted to. But either way, I think those two spots definitely need somebody that's got some field experience, and that really kind of can help these young guys kind of develop and get them rolling with the scheme of either on the offensive side of the ball or the defensive side of the ball. As long as Telesco doesn't waste draft picks like last year in round 3, excuse me, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, everybody likes to bang on Mager, but Mager did not have a bad season. He definitely didn't come in and have a huge impact. But nobody expected him to. But he did not look like he didn't belong out there. I know a lot of people were rough on that draft pick, and I know that he started off in spring training or whatever. We always mix those up. In the off season, he looked pretty. He had some rough times at the very beginning, but ultimately he was a solid cornerback. He certainly didn't look like he didn't belong out there when he finally got a chance to play last year.
Yeah, but they really didn't need him at that thing. I'm not mad at the draft. He's not a bad player. I'm pissed that they wasted that spot on something we didn't really need.
I hear you.
So, I mean, they should have used that pick to get something we really needed. We didn't really need another cornerback at that spot.
Right.
And this year they got to be smart and use their picks wisely. And I won't even be shocked if they possibly draft a quarterback this time around. If they don't do it this year, I guarantee they'll draft one next year for sure. Because they got to start tooling a new quarterback to kind of learn from Phillip Rivers and learn everything. And I think Phillip Rivers will be obviously he's a great quarterback. We all love him, and somebody's going to really teach a rookie how to throw the ball and how to run the offensive side of the game. But I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they did draft the QB this time. I hope they don't, but I think I'm sure it's on their mind. So,
what's funny is as soon as you start talking about drafting a quarterback, all of a sudden Hal jumps into the chat room and says "fuck yeah" because he hates Rivers so much. That is so funny that that he jumped in right when you said that. You got his attention. That is great.
Hal and I think alike, and we see eye to eye on a lot of things on the Chargers.
Oh no! Well,
But if you think about reality, though, I mean, look, Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 or 4 years on the Green Bay Packers and really thrived and learned from Brett Favre. But so they got to find someone soon, because if they wait too long, then this poor guy isn't going to have any experience. He's not going to have any tutelage from the great Phillip Rivers to go out there and take his place. So I would say if they don't do it this year, I guarantee they'll draft one in 2017 for sure.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. I think that they might take a shot at somebody maybe in the 4th or 5th round this year just to see, and if not this year, then next year. But I saw something interesting. Like I said, I'm going to start paying more attention to it. I've stayed away from all the mock drafts. They're so early for them, but
I don't watch those things. I hate those things because half the time they're never right anyway.
Oh, I think more than half the time they're never right. But with the Cowboys drafting right after us, you hear a lot of talk about the Cowboys are thinking about drafting a quarterback. And the reason why that excites me is the Cowboys at the number 4 spot wanting a quarterback, and us at the number 3 spot, that really puts us in prime position to trade down. Because if there's a team that's lower that wants a quarterback and everybody thinks the Cowboys are going to draft one, everybody's going to want that 3rd spot. If the first 2 go and a quarterback is not drafted, we're in a real good spot to maybe get some real high value for that pick. And we need some guys that are going to contribute this year. I would not have any problem at all trading down and getting some really, really high draft picks so we can get some multiple contributors this year.
I agree. As long as we can get if we trade down, as long as we stay in the 1st round, because they've got to get a top quality player either on the defensive side or the offensive side of the ball. So I said that a while back. I wouldn't be surprised if they did trade down because of the spot that they're in.
Yeah.
But like said, now that the Cowboys desperately need a quarterback to back up Tony Romo, you know darn well that they're going to be using that spot possibly to draft one. But there's also rumors that they're looking at Mr. Joey Bosa, so who knows?
Yeah, definitely.
Because they're not re-signing that abuser guy. So I won't say his name tonight because I won't put his name out there.
I just hope I don't even care who they draft. I just want people to think that they're going to draft a quarterback. As long as people think they're going to draft a quarterback, then people will be willing to move up and trade with us. And and the more desperate they are, the more value we can get. We've had a couple. We've had some bad drafts, but we've also when we traded down, when we decided not to take Michael Vick, that's when we got LaDainian Tomlinson, and arguably one of the best players that we've ever had. So trading down, if we move down 4 or 5 spots and we can get an extra 1st round draft choice or an extra 2nd round draft choice out of that, man, I'm all for that. We got a lot of positions that we need to fill.
And don't be surprised if the Chargers don't look at Jalen Ramsey either from Florida State. That's another guy that I wouldn't be shocked to see them go after too, at either number 3 or trading down maybe a spot or two to get him from there, and also gaining another first-round draft pick. Don't be surprised if they don't look at him either.
Yeah, that's what's so great about this. I'm not sure if you were listening earlier, but we're actually going to be doing a live draft show. We did it a couple years ago. We're going to be doing a podcast during the draft. We're going to be doing it together with the guys who do Bolt Talk Radio. I don't know, or Bolt Talk Podcast. I don't know if you ever listened to them before, but we're going to be all doing it together. So we're going to have the.
You guys should do it. You guys should do it with Cali Comfort, man.
We're actually going to get together with them, not this weekend, but the weekend after, and we're going to plan it all out exactly where we're going to do it. We're going to do it live from somewhere. It might be Cali Comfort. I'm not sure yet. But hopefully, we want as many people as possible to, of course, be listening, be in the chat room, be calling in, and hopefully you'd want to be part of that because, we're going to be drafting early, so we're going to be talking about it, and then once we make that draft choice or trade or whatever, we're going to have a whole lot of stuff to talk about, and we'd love to get reaction from different Charger fans and see what they think. So I hope you're available to.
Well,
I'm
probably going to head down to Cali Comfort for the draft this year. I'm going to see if Brian wants to go, and maybe Juanito may show up. You never know.
Nice. I hung out with Brian. Juanito. I hung out with Brian at the last draft at Cali Comfort, so that was a lot of fun. So,
yeah, I'm sure he'll go and a few other people. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. They got a lot of choices they can use. They got a lot of opportunity and choices at number 3. They're really sitting pretty because we know Cleveland is not going to move at number 2 because they're going to draft another quarterback.
I hope they don't because we want the quarterbacks to stay on the board. So when it's our turn to draft, people want our draft spot.
Yeah, but I don't listen to, like I said, I don't listen to mock drafts, but every mock draft pretty much has them drafting Carson Wentz from North Dakota State. So, and now that Johnny Manziel's gone, they need to fill that void. So, I mean, I'm sure Cleveland fans are like another quarterback, but you've had some terrible draft picks, and they've all failed. Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. But if they don't draft a quarterback, everything's in our hands, man. Every team's going to be eating pie out of our hands.
I agree. That's what I'm hoping for. All right, Trav, I'm going to wrap up the show. I'm getting out of here a little bit early tonight. I appreciate you jumping in there. It's been a long time since we've heard from you. I hope to hear from you again. We're not going to be doing a show next Wednesday, but we're going to be starting back up the Wednesday after that, and we're going to have a lot of free agency stuff to talk about. So one thing you did for us last year is you called in and you had a list of and it wasn't one of those pie in the sky lists. It was a real down to earth. These are guys that we could sign, and you were right on Hairston. I remember for sure, and I don't remember who else you had on there, but I'd love to hear your ideas for guys that the Chargers should be signing. I hope you're putting something together.
Yeah, I'm working my list up, but yeah, Hairston was a good one, and he's still down too. So I'll have my list ready to go. I'm looking at different opportunities and options that I think that might be good for them, but. My name's not Tom Telesco. My name's SoCal Trav. So what do I know, right?
Well, we love to hear that. I loved the, like I said, everybody. You can come up with the top guy at every position and say that's who the Chargers could sign. But yours was more thought out and was more like realistic, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So I hope in a couple weeks we can get that from you.
Yeah, I'll get that rolling again for you guys for sure. I got to start digging into my guys that are going to free agents to see what I can do. But anyway, yeah, awesome. Cool. So next 2 weeks, have fun. Weeks. All right, man.
All right, thanks a lot, Trav. We'll talk to you later, man.
As always, go Bolts.
Go Bolts, baby. That was so-called Trav, a blast from the past. We haven't heard from him in a while. That's going to wrap it up for this week. I'm going to let everybody go. We had a lot of cool stuff that we talked about. Josh was not able to join us. Jake was not able to join us. But we had Darren in the chat room. We had SoCal Trav in the chat room. Justin was in the chat room. Justin, of course, called in. And then as soon as anybody mentioned the fact that we need to get another quarterback, all of a sudden, boom, Hal jumped in the chat room, which was awesome. I don't know if he had just tuned in then or if the timing was perfect or if that's what got him in there. But that was awesome. So once again, we will not be coming live to you next Wednesday. We'll be coming back on the 9th. Appreciate everybody who listened, everybody who participated. Look forward to talking to you on the 9th. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you for listening to the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans by the fans. Brought to you by Cali Comfort, home of the low and slow barbecue, and SK Digital Imaging with Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, Jason Eidsmoe, and Mike Maciejewski. Subscribe to us on iHeartRadio, on Spreaker, and on iTunes. Visit SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com for all your Chargers, Padres, and Aztecs news.